How are you, everyone? Let's get straight into it and preview this week's Monza GP. All right, last week, pretty textbook result up in Spa. You had, a Mercedes 1-2, Hamilton led the way. Bottas had a bit, put up a bit of a fight, but yeah, all in all, I think he needs to show a little bit more fight during the races and probably take matters into his own hands. Example, Vettel in Malaysia 2013, just do it. Race for yourself now. Hamilton's got his, 6-7 titles. Just race for yourself. Start showing that you can really pull some results here, Bottas. But, pretty textbook result. Hamilton first, Bottas second, Verstappen third. Danny Rick fourth. Did put pressure towards the end. Got the fastest lap. Renault have been looking good. And Ferrari, horrible. Horrible in the pits. Ferrari for the sewers. They looked shocking. But that was last week, and this week's a new week. It's a second race of a triple header. And unfortunately, Ferrari fans, I can't see anything coming out of this for you whatsoever. Another high-speed track, and you guys just don't have the speed, So what a difference 12 months can make. Let's get straight to that. What a difference 12 months can make. You look at last year, what happened. This time last year, Ferrari won back-to-back races. Charles Leclerc won at Monza. Top step, won at Monza. What a feeling, what a thrill. All right? This year, they're going to struggle to make Q3, Ferrari. They will struggle to make Q3, 100%. They're going to be, they're in big strife. But you think that's all? Now you got people wearing masks everywhere. All right? You can't even shake someone's hand anymore. And we're going to have no crowds there. So what a difference 12 months has made. But let's get into it. Don't worry about that. Let's get straight into it. So, Mercedes this week, they look strong. Practice 1 and 2 leading the way. Bottas got P1 in practice 1 and then Hamilton P1 in practice 2. I think, again, it's going to be pretty hard for them to get stopped. I know they've taken away party mode, but I actually think that's going to help Mercedes because these other teams, they're going to struggle to close the gap during the races. If Mercedes can pull these gaps in the races like they are, right, without a party mode during the race, these other teams that are trying to battle they are using a higher engine during the race to try and catch up. They're in strife, mate. So Mercedes should be a pretty textbook win for them again. I'm hoping and praying like everyone. I'm hoping for 3 things. Rain. Someone pulls a fight to him, Bottas or at least Verstappen, someone actually pulls a fight to him. And the third thing is just a different result. We want rain though. I think rain's the biggest thing here. Or you know what else? I think we want to crash. I think we want Mercedes to knock themselves out in the first corner. But Mercury looking pretty strong. I can't see them getting really touched this week. Another high-speed track. And yeah, I think they should be pretty comfortable this weekend. Let's go to Red Bull. Red Bull will struggle, okay? I'm telling you now, Red Bull are going to struggle at Monza. Monza has never been a track that has suited Red Bull. Back to, the Webber-Vettel days, even, back to the Webber-Coulthard days, Red Bull has always seemed to struggle at Monza. A low downforce, high-speed circuit. I'm going to say I don't think Verstappen's going to come in the top 3. I can't see Red Bull pulling a podium here. Haters going to hate, but yeah, I think Red Bull are really going to struggle. Albon had a strong week last weekend. He did have a strong race. He looks like he's starting to close the gap, but he needs to keep putting pressure on Verstappen. He's closing the gap to him, but there is just no pressure on him. Like, he's getting out qualified by half a second or more, And in the race, even though, he might finish a place behind him, he's a place behind him, but he's 40, 50 seconds behind. So Albon needs to really start closing that gap. Otherwise, I don't think he'll be racing for him next year. And I'm pretty confident to say he won't be racing for him next year. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be the greatest weekend for Red Bull. I think it'll be a pretty big struggle, and I can't see him finishing on the podium this weekend, unfortunately. Let's get to McLaren. Lando Norris had some engine troubles during second practice. He did end up finishing third, though, for second practice. So I think, McLaren could be up there. They'll be fighting for points. I can see that. But There's a few issues I've got with McLaren at the moment. I think Carlos Sainz has had some poor luck, not through fault of his own. Obviously, last week didn't get to start, but I also think mentally, Carlos is. I think he's really got a lot on his mind right now. He's running around in McLaren, sitting pretty solid in the top 10. And he's looking back, seeing Ferrari. At the end of every practice session, every qualifying, every race, I guarantee you he's seeing what Ferrari's been doing. Because he knows he's there next year. Now, whether, he wants to admit it or not, that is playing on his mind 100%. Carlos Sainz is not in it right now. And I do think that, it's going to be a big factor for him for the rest of the year. I think Norris will blow him out for the rest of the season. I think Carlos has a lot going on and unfortunately, it looks like he's going to a team that's not going to be able to perform for him. I do think he's taking a step back by going to Ferrari, but only time will tell. We'll see if Ferrari can turn it around. But yeah, McLaren should be settled in that top 10 definitely this week. I can't see Lando or Carlos pulling a podium, but yeah, definitely, scoring some points. Ferrari. Let's touch on Ferrari. Like I said earlier, they are not anywhere near where they were last year. I think they're the only team that have taken such a significant step back. And it's starting to get quite, stressing and nerve-wracking for them when they're seeing that the other teams that are using Ferrari engines, Ferrari power units, are now starting to outperform them. Alfa Romeo beat Ferrari on merit last week. So, yeah, I can't see Ferrari making Q3 this weekend. I really can't. Seb has closed the gap to Charles as well, which is a good thing. I'm very happy for that. I want Seb to really show some fight. So Seb has closed that gap. I reckon he'll probably beat Leclerc this weekend as well. I do think so. I think Seb might beat him and should beat him. Can't see Ferrari making Q3, but I reckon they'll snag a point or two. I reckon Ferrari will probably pull a point or two. And that, to them, that'll be a win. They'll be a win. But they're a long way behind and, things aren't going great for them at the moment. But enough about Ferrari. The Tifosi aren't going to be there, so it's probably a blessing for them, to be honest, because I think if the crowds were there and everyone was there, they would feel it so much more. So they can just, do what they got to do and suck it up. Renault. This is my tip for the weekend. Danny Rick, podium. That's my tip for the weekend. And I'm saying this because he was actually P3 in practice. His time got deleted just for extending track limits. Wasn't too bad. It was at the last corner, so he didn't necessarily gain any time doing that either. So I think Danny Rick will get a podium. I think they're definitely the closest they'll be to a podium will be this weekend. It's a very high speed track, low downforce, and Renault looked very, very good last week. Even Esteban Ocon, looked pretty strong. So I definitely think Renault are looking good for this weekend to score a podium. I think they will be the second quickest team going round. So fingers crossed. I want to see Cyril get that tattoo. He's been, bragging that he'll get one if Danny or someone scores a podium. So I think this weekend's the weekend. So fingers crossed for Renault. I think they look very good. Touch on to Racing Point. Racing Point to me have been pretty disappointing the last couple races. At the start of the year, so much hype, they'll take it to Mercedes. If not, they'll definitely be, the second or third best team. And they did show that for the first 2 or 3 races, and then they've just dropped off. They have really significantly dropped off. Now, they had Sergio Perez miss a few races to coronavirus. Hulkenberg stepped in, did a tremendous job. Lance Stroll's been pretty consistent, but yeah, Racing Point just haven't really been probably performing to the level that they were expecting, especially at the start of the year. To now, they've dropped off quite significantly. So they definitely want to bounce back. I think this track will suit them. But as you've probably seen, tow is everything in this track. So getting a good slipstream is going to be everything for qualifying. I don't know. I think they'll be in the top 10. I don't think they'll be pushing top 6. I can't see Racing Point making top 6. I want to add on to this though. Sergio Perez, to me, he knows, and I think it's quite obvious as well now for the public, that Racing Point is starting to favour Lance Stroll. Okay, they are doing things to really favour him. When Hulkenberg filled in for him. They pitted Hulk late to give Lance a position. I don't care what they say, and they'll say, Hulkenberg had vibrations and he needs to come in. No, it's because obviously Hulkenberg's only doing that once-off race, and they want Stroll to get more points. Now, they're doing different strategies as well. I think last week there was an issue with strategies where, they played around and Stroll ended up, jumping Perez. But I think Sergio knows his time's up there. I'm going to make that call. He's out. Sergio will not be racing for Racing Point next year, whether you like it or not. People want to, hate it, but I can't see him racing for him. Mate, if your father is the boss of the team, right, they will not sack the son this early. They'll give him at least another year or two, okay? So Stroll, and Sergio's been in the system a long time as well, all right? He's a consistent and good driver, but what people don't really remember is he's actually a paid driver as well. So he came into the sport with a lot of money. Now, he has performed, but they don't need the money, mate. Racing Point don't need the money, so they don't need Sergio Perez. Daddy Stroll wants to keep his son, so yeah, I think Sergio's out the door, probably making way for Vettel, but only time will tell on that. But yeah, Racing Point, I can't see him pushing top 6. I think they should suit this track, but I think they'll be looking, scoring points top 10. All right. Let's get to AlphaTauri. To me, this is the surprise of the season, AlphaTauri. They have performed tremendously well this year. I didn't have much hope for him. I don't think anyone really had, much expectation for him this year. Pierre Gasly, I think, has been the driver of the season. Honestly, despite Hamilton dominating, Pierre Gasly, to me, has been driver of the season. He's been consistent. He's outperforming the car, and he's doing such a tremendous job. If Pierre hadn't have gone to Red Bull last year and got sacked halfway through, or demoted halfway through, he would be in a Red Bull this year, or definitely next year. He would be in there again. But I can't see Red Bull hiring him back after demoting him. I just can't see them doing that. I think they'd rather bite the bullet, but man, Pierre Gasly's doing everything in his power to get that call up again to a top 10, because he's been doing unbelievably well. And I think credit for Danny Kvyat as well. He's always been thereabouts between sort of 12th and 8th. He's always been thereabouts, besides Silverstone, where he had the pretty big crash. But AlphaTauri have been doing really well, and I think they'll be up there again. They looked quite strong in practice, so I think they'll be up there again, and it'll be good to see. Let's get on to Haas. Honestly, miserable season for them. They are making baby steps, they are slowly catching, but I think it's going to be another tough weekend for them. Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen as well. I think, there's a lot going on with those two blokes. I think they know their time's up at Haas as well. They haven't made any driver announcements yet. So, Haas are going to battle through, but I do hope they can start pushing for the top 10. I'd love to see them score some points again and really close that midfield gap. But yeah, I think it'll be a tough weekend for them. Alfa Romeo looked decent last week. It is a track Kimi likes. Spa's a track Kimi loves. And even Monza, he's quite quick around Monza. I think they've closed the gap as well. I wouldn't be surprised seeing Alfa Romeo push for that top 10 again. I'd love to see him get out of Q1. I think that's a definite big, massive possibility for this week, and they should get out of Q1. I actually think they're probably ahead of Ferrari as well this weekend. So Alfa Romeo, I'm hoping get out of Q1, and hopefully we can see the Iceman pull some points, and even Giovinazzi. He had one of his best results last year at Monza, so it's a track that he definitely can perform at. Lucky last, I've left Williams to the end here. Williams, a lot's happened in the last 7 days for him. This whole year's been quite big for him. But this is going to be, people might not like what I'm about to say, but Claire Williams, to me, single-handedly destroyed this team in the last 5 years. When she took over Williams, they were coming top 3 in the constructors. If you remember the years with Massa and Bottas, they were up there. They had such a good base in the turbo hybrid era, such a good, foundation to start with, and they blew it away. And I know a lot got shaken up when Rosberg retired, and then they had, Mercedes poached Bottas across, and then Williams end up getting Sergei Sorokin. And honestly, since then, they've never been the same. She started recruiting pay drivers, Sorokin, Stroll, just to name a couple. Nicholas Latifi. George Russell's been the only good thing to come out of Williams in the last 4 or 5 years now. But yeah, I think it's a sad time in Formula One. I think if things were managed differently, she had poor management skills. But we can only hope that they can have a strong result for them this weekend. I'm going to make a call here. Another big call. George Russell, for the first time in his Formula One career, will be out-qualified by his teammate. You're hearing that first here. George Russell will be out-qualified by his teammate for the first time ever this weekend. Okay? But hopefully Williams can put up a show and maybe, just maybe, snag a point if they can. But I think this weekend the results will be pretty clear up the front with Mercedes and Hamilton and Bottas. I don't know what way that might go, though. I reckon qualifying is going to play a huge part. But I will stick by my word and say Danny Rick, top 3. Danny Rick, the top 3, okay? Hopefully he can do it, but we'll just wait and see. Anyway, that's been the preview of Monza. We've got another race next week at Mugello. We'll have the preview for that as well, and we'll see how it goes. Take care, people.